question that I've been asked many times. So I'm going to just clear up, to try and answer rather than clear up, I suppose, um, the question of whether cycling does cause heart attacks. For those of you that don't know, I had a heart attack at 48, so 2nd of February 2020. It was just before the pandemic hit. I was out with my friends, as we often do on a Sunday. We went up. I'd ridden quite a lot in recent days, following sort of before the heart attack. I'd ridden to Bristol and back from here, and we went out again on the Sunday. So from that point of view, probably I've probably done a lot more cycling than I would normally. And then we were going out as quite a large group on that day. And I think I probably... you always think of heart attacks as being quite dramatic and quite sort of, which my experience was not that at all, really. I knew we'd sort of... where we live is quite a hilly place, so we'd been cycling for quite a while, and I went up one particular hill, and when I got to the top of the hill, I sort of perhaps thought I might have overdone it a bit. I'm quite a competitive person, so when it comes to a hill or going up with others, backing off is often quite difficult. So I pushed it too hard going up the hill, definitely. But that didn't cause my heart attack. That was after that hill. I began to feel strange. I wouldn't say it was distressing or anything, but I suppose I felt a little bit. For those of you who are familiar with bonking, I suppose it was a similar sort of feeling. I didn't have any pain in my chest or anything like that to start with. I just felt a bit weird, and we cycled back to the cafe. Weird. I felt almost like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you just know something's wrong. Anyway, I phoned my wife. She was shopping, and it's at that point, moments like that, when you sort of realise. And she said, "Oh, do I need to?" I told her I wasn't feeling very well, and she said, "Do I need to call an ambulance?" And you just automatically, I just said, "Actually, yes, I think you do," and she did. And from then on, basically, that's the point when I sort of sat down on the sofa, and I think the reality hits and the adrenaline hits, and then I think I began to feel. I think also because you're having a heart attack as well, I felt more and more unwell quite quickly from there on. But I think you also relax because you know people are there to help, and the ambulance is on its way. So I think perhaps you sort of get the reality of how you really are feeling once you drop your guard a bit. And but I've got an Orbea again. This is the second one I've had. The first one I had was an aluminium frame, and this one I've got now is carbon. And they're amazing bikes. And for somebody like me, I'd be lost without it, to be honest. It's changed. It just means I can still ride with my friends. I can still ride at the speed I used to. I'm just not putting in quite as much effort, which in turn keeps the heart rate down. And it's an amazing thing. So that's basically my story. And by telling you my story, I think when I was in the hands of my consultant at hospital, he was basically saying, this is my point about the whether a heart attack is caused by cycling. He was basically saying that I would probably brought it on by cycling and riding quite hard on that day. Probably did bring it on, but it's something that would have it was going to happen at some stage anyway. But yes, it probably did bring it on that day, because it was a quite strenuous exercise. But what he also added was that because of cycling, your heart is a lot stronger. I mean, this is a sort of open-ended answer, really, because you don't know for sure. But he was basically saying that because you're fitter, when you have the heart attack, who knows how much worse it could have been. And he just said, keep cycling, keep doing it, just live your life, basically. But in his eyes, cycling is more likely to have made me much stronger, make your heart much stronger, and able to cope with a heart attack much better than you would have done if you hadn't been cycling. So whilst it probably did bring it on the day, you're in a much better position to deal with it. And that was basically his view, which I thought made an awful lot of sense. And that's why I felt I should do this video. For anybody that's experienced the same sort of thing, I try not to let it get me down, but you can't help be scared by exercise and exercising hard, especially that it happened whilst I was doing what I love. So, it's a tricky one. But I would definitely say just get back out there when you feel it's right, and do what you can. Don't shy away from exercise. Don't be scared of it. Just be careful. Just be careful. Be mindful of the condition you've got. And obviously, the NHS and everything are really, really good. They do. I was a little bit unfortunate when it came to rehab because COVID had kicked in and nothing was happening. Basically, there were far more important things to be worrying about than your rehabilitation. So I didn't really get a lot of help. But it's fine. I only had a mild one, and I'm absolutely 100% fine now. I don't have any issues. Obviously, I'm on a bit of medication, but and that's really it. So I would say, in summary, that cycling did help towards my heart attack happening, but I think it equally may have saved me having a much worse one, or enabled me to still be here at all. So I think no, it was not the cause of my heart attack. And that's pretty much it, really. Please like and subscribe.